After getting out of prison, Brazy would begin to showcase his growing rap skills, often freestyling for the camera wherever he was. Unfortunately, he was also deep in the streets and in an environment where anything could go down at any moment, and sadly, that's exactly what would happen. After being out of prison for about a month or so, on the night of February the 21st, 2016, at approximately 8 PM, Brazy would go to an apartment complex called the Woodlands Apartments in Pritchard, just about a 10-minute drive from Happy Hills, to visit a female friend named Raisha. According to Brazy, he was there simply to serve her some weed, but the girl was also the girlfriend of his friend Stank, real name Ladarius Mora. Stank, who also went by the nickname Gunner, was very popular in Mobile and respected by many due to his family's prominence in the area. Just like Brazy had his father Big HoneyKomb, Stank's family also allegedly had some members with serious connections to the Mobile underworld and were known for getting money in the streets, as can be seen on numerous pictures on social media where Stank himself can be seen flexing big stacks of cash and posting openly on Facebook that his trap house was doing numbers and attracting the attention of the police. Stank had also been close with Brazy's fallen friend Det and could be seen posting with his clique wearing shirts in his honor after Det's death. Whilst Brazy was allegedly inside the girl's home, Stank allegedly arrived at the premises to speak to Raisha after the couple had seemingly had a falling out. However, allegedly, she wasn't interested in talking to Stank and wouldn't let him inside the house, making things look increasingly dicey for HoneyKomb Brazy, who was still in the home at this point. At this point, an enraged Stank, who now believed his friend was inside the house with his girlfriend doing the unthinkable, things would keep escalating, as Stank would eventually force himself into the house by kicking down the door. Understandably, an enraged Stank at this point had a hard time believing that Brazy was just there to sell her some weed, and the two would get into a fight, and it was at this point that Brazy would up his gun, shooting Stank and killing him. Unfortunately, Stank didn't only leave behind a grieving family, but also a small child, as his cousin would tell the news.
Very heartbreaking saying that he has a small child who now will never know who his father is.
The cousin would also tell that there was an exchange of words between Stank and another person before the other person reacted some way, causing the shooting, and this person was known to have a violent background.
There's another individual that was there, and there was an exchange of words, and the other individual reacted, which caused to the shooting. The person who alleged did the act is a person that already has a violent history.
Police would comment that they hadn't yet arrested anyone, but they had a person of interest who would indeed turn out to be HoneyKomb Brazy.
We won't say whether he was inside the residence at that time or he just showed up on the scene, but we do have a person of interest at this time.
Now, Brazy's talked about this case on numerous occasions and would even at one point record a jail freestyle called True Story, which was later made into a real song, where he talks about this incident at length, essentially doing King Von's crazy story concept before Von even did it, rapping in the song about how he went to sell Raisha a pack and ended up kicking it with her having a smoke when Stank turned up, elaborating that he grabbed his gun when he heard banging at the door and at the same time got a phone call from a friend who was actually close with Stank, with Brazy telling the friend that nothing had been happening between them, but Brazy would go on to claim that when Stank kicked the door, he slipped his handgun safely off and prayed that Stank didn't break through, with Brazy ultimately concluding that despite growing up with Stank, he wouldn't allow him to kill him over a girl, and Brazy felt he ultimately had to kill Stank in self-defense. Ultimately, Brazy would indeed end up beating the charges for Stank's murder, as he was found by the authorities to have indeed acted in self-defense, with Brazy even explaining during a live how he's still cool with some of Stank's brothers, whilst others want him dead.
I didn't look, man, I didn't kill brothers in real life, locked up for murder, killing your brother, and still his brothers. You see what I'm saying? Like, this real life, this is my, I still with the brothers I killed. Like, we still hang around each other. And you think they other brother don't even like me, he want to do something to me. But you think I be wrong, brothers who I killed, like, they got the same dad as everybody sit something on and I run with them. You think they'll be wrong me if I'm fake? Like, now you killed our brother, we still with you. I'm really a real bro. I'm really like that. I'm telling you, I'm really silent. Like, I'm really silent in real life, bro. Like, real talk. Now, this ain't no wrong word for lie. This in black and white. I caught this murder case. This in black and white. You feel? Kick the door in on me. And I had to handle my business. And I had got self-defense for it. I got self-defense for this. And you know, they what their war started about. They what all this really struck up about their war. They what they had. Grandma and granddaddy did, but all this. Like, yeah.
He would also speak about the matter in his first interview after getting released in 2023, saying that he loved Stank and he would take it all back if he could.
Yeah, my partner, I love my partner. He just tripped that day, you feel me? It ain't nothing like that. You know, if I could take it back, I'd take it back. But you know how I get. Ain't down by no film. I ain't never been with no count.
So you ain't even hit, you was just telling her, you know what I'm saying? You was just in the house type shit.
Yeah, about grandma, granddad, I ain't never on my dead little brother Myron, never So, you feel me? Really solid. It's just that how that happened.
However, despite feeling bad about the incident and ultimately getting away with it without legal consequences, this incident would set into motion a host of tragic events that would forever change Brazy's life. Because after the investigation deemed Brazy as the person of interest in the killing of Stank, he would choose not to fight the charges, but do what he's been doing since he caught his first charge at 13, go on the run. And 3 days after the death of Stank, Brazy's good friend Duke posted a video on his Facebook where Brazy can be seen commenting on what had happened, telling Duke not to trust women before saying, "I can't let no jam me up," and leaving the car.
They'll do it in time, but I can't let no jam me up though, bro. I can't go for it. If I go for it, it ain't right, bro. And if they do get me, gonna be some real already.
In the comments of the video, Duke and another friend can also be seen discussing what had happened, both seemingly being understanding to Brazy despite having also been friends with Stank. However, not everyone would be as understanding, because also in the comments of the video would be one of Stank's brothers, who was clearly not interested in lending any sympathy to Brazy, saying F him. Indeed, this time Brazy wouldn't just have the police after him, but also Stank's family, particularly one person from his father's side, Stank's uncle, Darren D.D. Southall, who was known in the streets of Mobile as the kingpin of one of Alabama's biggest drug trafficking organizations. And while Brazy and D.D. had seemingly been on good terms in the past, the death of Stank would ignite a deadly war between the two that would ultimately end up unleashing a wave of violence all across Alabama. Darren D.D. Southall is not your ordinary Mobile gangster. This is no small-time drug dealer, because at his height, he allegedly ran a massive empire worth tens of millions of dollars, transporting thousands of kilograms of Class A dope to smaller distributors across the Gulf Coast. And according to law enforcement, Southall's drug empire was active at least from 2016 until early 2021, when he and his organization were finally busted. And during the investigation into Southall and his co-conspirators, law enforcement would intercept a call between Southall and his supplier in Texas, where he would claim to distribute 100 kilos of cocaine every single month. With deliveries landing as regular as clockwork, this was a reliable drug line believed to be netting $3 million in cash per month, with investigators seizing approximately $2.2 million in cash during one bust. After getting arrested and indicted, D.D. Southall would eventually agree to a plea agreement that made him accountable for 4,000 kilos of cocaine, 24 kilos of heroin, and 2 kilos of fentanyl, totaling to about $24 million in drug proceeds. However, Southall's journey to the top of the dope game hadn't been the most typical. In fact, it was believed that he climbed to the top of the drug economy in Mobile largely by snitching on all of his competition, with these snitching allegations on D.D. Southall going back decades to at least the late 90s and early 2000s, essentially almost as far back as his criminal record.
Southall has a long criminal history dating back to the 1990s. Several charges stemmed from possession of cocaine. Southall is also accused of being a drug ringleader in a multi-state, multi-million-dollar drug organization.
For example, in 2003, Southall was part of a case against a fellow drug dealer, Leroy Jackson, who was also the owner of a Mobile-based record label, Gorilla Records, with artists like C. Nile, who was also affiliated with the legendary Screwed Up clique from Houston, Texas. During the trial, Southall testified that he had been buying crack from Jackson 2 or 3 times a week from 1999 until 2001, when Jackson went to prison. In 2013, in another case against a dirty cop named Edmund Burke, Southall would allegedly knowingly help arrange a deal between Burke and his cousin and an undercover cop, which would lead to Burke's arrest and conviction. In one flabbergasting video, a now older Southall can be seen proudly proclaiming that "I ain't on no more, I ain't got nobody left to roll on, I got the city in a chokehold," essentially admitting that he snitched so much that he has no more competition left in the city.
I ain't on the police. I ain't got nobody to roll on. I got the city in a chokehold.
This video would be posted on Instagram by the rapper and undisputed Jug King of Atlanta, Young Scooter, who himself seemed dumbfounded by this admission, writing the caption, "This is what the street's coming to. The streets are on life support." He said he got the whole city of Mobile. Brazy, who at this time was beginning to pick up steam as a rapper, would comment on the video using a lyric from his song Gucci Flow, where he disses Southall by saying, "How the biggest rat in the city got some bricks on my head." This was a dangerous rival, and it would mean that Brazy would need to look out for both violence and snitching from the very same op. Indeed, while Southall had seemingly gotten to the top of the dope game by snitching on his competition with the help of Mobile police, he was no stranger to using violence to get his way too, and in 2012 he was actually charged with an attempted murder after he allegedly shot a man in a restaurant after a fight had broken out. This incident occurred at the Cozy Brown's Kitchen in Pritchard, Alabama, a mere 3 minutes drive from the Woodlands apartments where Brazy actually ended up killing Stank. Now, Southall was after Brazy, and he would do everything in his power to get his revenge. However, if Brazy's enemies wanted him, they would have to get there before the authorities did.